What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Gage. Welcome to the channel. Today, I am excited to be showing off my Monkey D. Luffy deck profile from the One Piece trading card game. And we are eating good. We are absolutely eating good because the ban list recently came through and this deck did not get touched whatsoever. And that feels so good because it means that this deck is going to be very much a threat to contend in the modern metagame, and I am excited to be able to play it. Now, I have adjusted it slightly to my own personal preferences, but of course, there are many different ways to be able to build this deck, and I'm always going to be open to hearing suggestions from how other people are choosing to play the deck themselves. So before I get into the build, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's just hop right into it. So, of course, if we are playing Monkey D. Luffy, we do have to, take a look at the leader himself. So, Monkey D. Luffy has the ability of activate main once per turn. You can add one card from the top of your life cards to your hand, and if you have 0 or 3 or more Don cards on your field, add up to 1 Don card from your Don deck and set it as active. So, essentially, the name of the game is that you are ramping as much as possible, which is usually what the purple strategies tend to do. You are ramping your Don to be able to give you access to more late game plays much sooner than your opponent, and the cards that are in this strategy just so happen to work really nicely on the specific Don curve to be able to allow you to utilize some really strong effects much earlier than you normally would. So it's a 5-life leader, which is also pretty relevant because of the fact that, a lot of the meta is 4-life leaders. So you can really take advantage of that by having an additional life, meaning you're that much more you're not as susceptible to being able to get rushed down as some of the other strategies in the game. So let's go ahead and take a look at the build itself. So, of course, I am playing 4 copies of my boy Trafalgar Law. This is one cost, 1k counter that allows you to, on play, look at the top 4 cards of the deck, reveal up to 1 Straw Hat or Heart Pirates type card with a cost of 2 or more, and add it to your hand, and then place the rest at the bottom. So, like any good deck, you want consistency, and Trafalgar Law is one of the main searchers of the deck. It's pretty much able to search everything in the deck, so you definitely have to play 4 copies. I'm playing 4 copies of the 2k Uso Hachi, 3 cost 2k counter. It does have a relevant on-play effect where if you have 8 or more Don cards on the field, you can rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So that could be useful in a pinch where maybe you don't necessarily need access to the 2k and you are able to go for a game, but you're staring down maybe a blocker or 2. If you have 8 or more Don, you can just go ahead and play the Uso Hachi, and then all of a sudden your opponent no longer has a blocker as long as it's 5 or less. So yeah, this is just a fantastic 2k for the deck because not only is it a 2k, but also just a really good effect as well. I am playing 3 copies of the 4-cost Trafalgar Law, which is very good because it's a blocker that has 5,000 attack, 5,000 power. That also has the ability of on play Dom -1 to go ahead and, if your opponent has 7 or more cards in hand, trash 2 cards from their hand. So this is more so just a scare tactic because once your opponent sees it, they have to respect having more than 7 or more cards in their hand because of the fact that you could always end up just slamming down a Trafalgar Law and ripping 2 cards out of their hand for free. So it's dangerous because it means that you may end up putting your opponent in awkward positions where they may end up having to counter out of a lot more attacks than they normally would because they just don't want to end up losing those cards anyway because of your Trafalgar Law. And even if you don't end up using it to rip cards, just having a blocker in a pinch is also really nice. So yeah, I like playing the 3 copies, and of course it is searchable off of the 1-drop as well because it's a Heart Pirates type card. So yep, gotta love it. It's searchable, and it does exactly what it needs to in essentially being a fear for your opponent. I'm also playing 4 copies of the 4-drop 6,000 power Zoro Juro, where on play you could look at the top 5 cards of the deck, reveal up to 1 purple straw hat type card, and add it to your hand, place the rest at the bottom. So very good card. The fact that, again, this deck is very consistent because most of the time you're going to be able to, you're never going to whiff off of this effect. And it's playable off of the 7 cost Luffy, which I will go over in just a moment as well. So it's just a very strong card, and that's why you have to play 4 copies, in my opinion, even though it is not, it doesn't have any counter power. I'm also choosing to play 4 copies of Frankie. Now, hear me out. This is mostly because off of the Luffy effect, a lot of the times I don't necessarily always want to go for things like a Zoro Juro or a Sangoro. There are times where I want to be able to play a blocker off of my Luffy's effect, and being able to cheat a Frankie into play is really nice. It's a blocker, and it does have the on-play of Dom -2 to trash a card from your hand and draw 2 cards. The thing is, you don't necessarily, there may be instances in which that will be good. Maybe you are a bit bricked, so you might want to go ahead and just use its ability to go ahead and just refresh your hand to a degree. But you don't necessarily have to use that effect. It is optional because it's a May effect, so it's not as if it's mandatory. So again, it's just there are instances in which I want to be able to just cheat out a blocker, and Frankie is just the best one to be able to do so. But I can certainly see an argument for either cutting it down or replacing it entirely. But honestly, this has helped save me in so many instances. So I would at least consider it if you are choosing to play the deck. I'm also playing 4 copies of Sanguro, the 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1k blocker that says when attacking once per turn, if you have 8 or more Don cards, you could draw a card. So this is really nice in the late game, especially if you are, being able to really just, accumulate Don, and you can play for free off of your Luffy effect. The fact that you can just continuously do this every single turn because it's a when attacking effect is just incredibly powerful. So your opponent, there's a lot of pressure for your opponent to actually remove this, or else the deck that already has a lot of consistency and a lot of draw power is going to end up spiraling out of control. And he almost becomes a pseudo blocker to a certain degree, because once you start attacking, your opponent is definitely going to start targeting him for attacks. So yeah, I like the Sanguro. I definitely think that it's a worthy inclusion in a build like this. I'm also playing 4 copies of Eustace Captain Kidd, 5 cost, 6,000 power, blocker, and it has really good utility for the deck because of the fact that it says once per turn, during your turn, you can, when a Don card on your field is returned to the Don deck, you can add up to 1 Don card from your Don deck and set it as active. So it essentially makes it so that one of the Dons that you would end up Don minusing essentially comes back for you to be utilized as either a Don attachment to buff up one of your characters, or to be able to free up for your 1 cost Gum Gum Giant event, or just to be able to be used for other purposes later down the line. So Eustace Captain Kidd is good because there are a few cards in the deck that do Dom minus effects, so you want to be able to kind of mitigate the downside of Don minusing by having this in play as soon as possible. And again, there's going to be a lot of pressure on your opponent to try to remove this as much as possible, because the advantage that this will generate you from essentially making it so that your Don minus effects aren't really a downside, your opponent is going to want to remove this card for sure. So again, it's really just putting as much pressure on your opponent as possible, and Captain Kidd is very much a card that is able to do so. I'm also playing 4 copies of the Frenosuke, the 5 cost, 4,000 power, 2k counter. Really, you're just playing it for the 2k counter, but I have found that the Don ×1, if you have 8 or more Don cards on your field, him gaining Rush, is actually really good in a pinch, because traditionally, the decks like this, Purple doesn't usually have access to rushers, so the fact that Frenosuke can be a pseudo rusher to a certain degree, that is not an on-play effect. Because if you're playing against, and I found this out my friend found this out the hard way, if you're playing against Blackbeard, for example, Blackbeard sets off your on-play effects, but the fact that you are able to get Rush by just giving him Don ×1 means that you are able to get Rush even under, the Blackbeard's effect to negate your on-plays. So Frenosuke is just a really good 2k counter, but does have some fringe instances in which it can be really nice in a pinch to be able to get access to an attacker. I'm also playing 4 copies of the 6 cost, 6,000 power 2k counter of Sanji, my boy, in his suit. man, just gotta love it. Just an absolutely gorgeous alt art as well. And just a very powerful card. A 2K counter that is a blocker, but if the number of Don cards on your field is at least 2 less than the number on your opponent's field, you can give this card in your hand -3 cost. So essentially it just ends up becoming a 3 cost 6,000 counter, which is broken. Again, most of the time it's just going to end up being used as a 2K, but we do have many ways to be able to Don minus, and there will be instances in which we are able to meet the threshold for you to be able to play this for 3 less cost. So I like it, and so that's why I am playing 4 copies. And of course, I am also playing 4 copies of the 7-drop 7,000 power 1K counter Sanji with the on-play effect where you can return 1 or more Don cards from your field to your Don deck, and then it gains Rush. And then you could rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less. So this could be excessive. I am personally choosing, for 2 reasons, to play this at 4 copies. 1, because I want the deck to be as aggressive as possible. I want to be able to rush my opponent down, to be able to start putting as much pressure as possible, as early as possible, and Sanji is a great way of doing that. And of course, it's my favorite character. It's my boy. I mean, I had to play 4 copies. I mean, he's on the mat, right? So I just feel as though, yeah, you can certainly get away with maybe playing less, but the fact is that I enjoy actually having this strategy be a little bit more aggressive, and that's just it. This deck can pivot into a multitude of different ways to be able to essentially kind of accommodate for whatever the game state calls for. If we do need to play a little bit more defensively, we certainly can because we have a lot of blockers, or if we want to go a little bit more aggressively, we can go ahead and choose to go into things like the 7-cost Sanji. So we're also playing, of course, one of the more broken cards in the deck, the 7-cost 8,000 power Luffy Taro. With the on-play of Dom -1, you can play up to 1 Purple Straw Hat type crew character with a cost of 5 or less from your hand. So we are obviously playing so many different targets for this effect to ensure that we are going to be able to get it off no matter when we need it. So yeah, the fact that Luffy is able to cheat out other characters means that you're going to end up with not just a Luffy Taro, but also either a searcher or a blocker, or just a card that you can then use to generate more card advantage later down the line. So yeah, the 4 copies of this card is definitely a must if you are planning to play this strategy. And of course, for the top end, I am choosing to play 3 copies of the 9-drop Monkey D. Luffy. Now, again, this is certainly a card that you don't necessarily have to play 3 copies. And if you choose to play cards like Charlotte Linlin, that is certainly a very powerful option. However, like I said, I want this to be as aggressive of a build as possible. And of course, the Secret Rare is also just an absolutely gorgeous and stunning card. So it's a 9-drop 10,000 power character that on play says you can return 1 or more Don cards from your field to your Don deck, draw a card, and it gains Rush. So it not only replaces itself, but it also becomes a 10,000 attack rusher. So your opponent really always has to be scared of this deck because there are going to be instances in which you are going to be able to just get out really aggressive swings really early on. And Monkey D. Luffy is just a powerhouse. And chances are that if you get to this point in the game, you are going to end up winning that duel. So I personally recommend 3 copies. Again, if you think it's too excessive, or if you want to try out other techs like Charlotte Linlin, you certainly can, but I want this to be a much more aggressive style for the build. And then, last but not least, 4 copies of the card that everyone thought was going to get banned, but didn't, is the 1-cost Gum Gum Giant. This is why I said we're eating good, because personally, I also thought this card was going to get hit because it is a little overtuned, but hey, I'm not going to complain. It essentially says that you have, it's a counter that says Dom -2, trash a card from your hand, and if your leader is the Straw Hat Crew type, which it is, up to one of your leader or characters gains 4,000 power during this turn, and then you could draw 2 cards. I mean, come on, it doesn't get any better than that. Not only for 1 cost, you're getting 4,000 counter power, but you're also drawing 2 cards on top of that. I mean, the deck is just, it flows so nicely. The fact that we have so many powerful characters and then just a really nice event to kind of top it all off makes the deck a force to be reckoned with for sure. So guys, that is pretty much it for the deck. I really appreciate you taking the time to view my deck profile. Like I said, this is very much tailored more towards my personal playstyle and preference. And of course, there are certainly different ways in which you can go about building this deck, but I have found much success with this build. I don't think that I have lost all that many times you playing this very specific variant, so I would at least give it a shot. And of course, if there are other techs or things that you choose to play in your versions of the build, definitely let me know in the comments. If you're still around up until this point, you're a real one. Again, if you're fans of content like this, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, GG.